The other cool thing about this, these are professional recordings too that you can play along with. So this is not the easiest piece of music in the world. It's kind of high school college. Kind of makes you want to practice, doesn't it? Something our high school jazz ensemble might play. I mentioned that because Mr. Burns is here tonight. Mr. Burns, he works with our high school jazz ensembles, and he's a music teacher at Klein Elementary. And that was for you. Thank you, brother.
Also on the yellow sheet where it talks about smart music, the Smart Music Company makes a microphone available that you're welcome to purchase, but we found that it seems like a lot of the laptops and a lot of the desktop computers these days have a built-in microphone. For example, our school laptops that we use, Mr. Pompey was just using a built-in mic. So I suggest when you get your Smart Music subscription, try it with your computer before you invest in a microphone. Maybe make that investment later if necessary. For families that have twins, I'm sorry, that means we've got to have 2 subscriptions at home because they're both going to be doing basically the same assignments. You can't have multiple logins per subscription, but we found that the kids in the different grades can do that. When you finally get that Smart Music subscription, please use your child's first initial and last name for the username, and then their student ID number as the password. As teachers, Smart Music doesn't give us any control at all over student accounts. We can look and see who signed up for which band, and we can encourage them to enroll in the correct band, but I can't go in and put a student in a certain group. If a student comes and they don't have their password, I can't go look that up. So we ask, if we use the student ID, then we all know and it'll be really easy. And if you can write that password just inside the front of their book cover, that will be very, very helpful. Oh, thank you very much. If you don't have internet at home, we have laptops available at school. We have kids that come in 2 or 3 mornings a week, depending, to get their Smart Music assignments done. Mrs. Reynolds, how many laptops do you have?
I have about 6 to 9.
6 to 9, Mr. Pompey?
6.
And I have 9 at Tower Heights. All right? And so we have kids that come in all the time to get their Smart Music assignment done before school. So if there's no internet, if there's a financial problem, let us know and we can help you with that. We can make that happen. Mr. Pompey, if you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Forte. I regularly have students coming in before school doing their Smart Music. It works out pretty well. It's pretty easy. Awesome. I'm the last person to speak. We're almost done. Yay. The next step now is to get an instrument. And how do you get an instrument? And it's very important to us that you get a good quality instrument. There are instruments available for very little money at Walmart or sometimes on eBay. But we found those instruments, or maybe you have a 3D printer, you could print out a clarinet. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? I saw somebody on the internet make a clarinet out of a carrot. Showed up on my Facebook. And it played well. It wasn't too bad, actually. You ate it afterwards, yeah. A carrot. You've got a drill, put the holes in it and everything. Those instruments are difficult to play. And the keys end up being not in the best position. And the sound ends up being not very good. And it's very difficult to learn on an instrument that doesn't play easily. So if you check out your sheet there's a green sheet that says instrument specifications. And we're very, very specific about what brands and what types of instruments are acceptable. And it's not only for ease of playing, but it's also for playing in tune and having a good sound. It makes the band sound very good. There's nothing worse than a student, though, on that first day coming in with an instrument that doesn't work well, and they start to struggle right off the bat. So good equipment is very important. Who's ever skied, downhill skied? Who's my age that learned how to ski when they were younger? Yeah, equipment's gotten a lot better, hasn't it? So good equipment makes a big difference in ease of use also. So there's a lot of detail on that sheet. And rather than go into specifics, just take a look at that. Our instrument companies are here today, our preferred instrument stores. And they have this information as well. But if you could keep an eye on it too, it might solve a problem before it's a problem. In particular, there's some mouthpiece requirements that are, again, very detailed. Just look at the clarinet one and you'll see all the little details on it that we care about. So that will make things go very, very easy when we have that first lesson. And you can imagine, just picture what that first lesson is going to look like. There'll be one band director and 50 clarinets in a room. It's going to be awesome. And one of the first things we're going to do is teach you to open the case correctly, put the instrument together, double check, make sure you have everything you need. If we can all come in with all of that stuff all ready to go, boy, it makes that first lesson go much, much easier. We can get onto our first notes. We have some school-owned instruments, trombones, baritones, French horns, tubas. Those instruments are typically not rented by our music stores because they're awfully expensive. Did I say bassoons? Bassoons. Those instruments are typically not available, so our school owns them, and you can rent them right from us. So we may have talked to you about that already and put your name on the list for those types of instruments. So if you're interested in that, make sure you double check with us tonight. Make sure you're on the list for school-owned instruments. There's limited availability for some of those. I think at Magsy we have 4 tubas, maybe 5 of them. It's going to be awesome here. Page 2. We would ask you to get school delivery on your instrument because every once in a while, it still happens, even though we try not to let it happen, it still happens that, boy, somebody gets that instrument and all of a sudden, I mean, these instruments look really cool, don't they? This is really interesting. I said, there's that case. And if that case is sitting at home, it's really tempting to go ahead and open it and experiment. Well, I don't know if you know this, but it takes a lot of fine muscle control to learn how to play these instruments correctly. And if you start blowing on your own, you're going to end up with some very strange technique. And then you're going to learn that. And once you learn something, it's really hard to unlearn it. So then when we try to teach you the right way, it's going to feel really bad to unlearn the wrong way and try to learn the right way. I just saw a study that if you repeat something 3 times, it's memorized in your muscles. Just 3 times. That's powerful. We can use that. So don't experiment. There are some study options for you. The best option is private lessons. And on the salmon colored sheet, we have a list of our private lesson teachers that we work with regularly. These are professionals on that instrument. And they've gone through, they're great educators, they're great musicians, they work with us regularly. So we do recommend those people. So that's one way. There are some of our music stores have some programs where they do like a Head Start program. Those are great as well. The only caution I have with that is if you start it and then don't play it all, and you don't have regular instruction, you could develop some bad habits. So we want to just be careful about that. So we want to say a good start with regular instruction is better than a poor start.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, please do.
You said it already, but I just wanted to reinforce. So if you'd like to get started this summer, then yes, let's go ahead and get an instrument here quickly and we'll get a private teacher and we'll get you started. But if you're not going to get started with lessons this summer, please do have that instrument delivered to the school. So we just want to know that the first time they open that case, it's with a professional private teacher or it's with one of the 3 of us, that they're not experimenting on their own at home for that first experience.
Great. So we have 2 stores that are preferred music stores, McCutcheon Music and Howard Music, and they've gone through a rigorous process where we visited their stores, checked out their repair shops, and we picked them because they have all of the instruments, they have all the quality brands, they have contracts that are easy to use, and really important to us, they have an on-site repair shop where they can get the instruments repaired quickly. They're here tonight for your convenience, so you can stop by. They're both right out there, McCutcheon and Howers, and you can start to get things set up right away. Some details that you'll need besides a Smart Music subscription is a music stand at home, and just a wire one works great. I just found out they're only $12 or $13. We have music stands at school, so that music stand stays at home for your home practice. I love telling this story, I tell it every year. We had a flute player come in playing flute, and they were holding it very strangely. They were playing it like this. And I was like, geez, that's really weird. Why are they doing that? And they go to learn to play, and then 5 minutes later, I'd look over, and they'd be like this again. What is going on? Come to find out, they didn't have a music stand at home. They were laying the music on their bed, on their pillow, and practicing this way. And their muscle memory took over because they've been practicing that way. So that was kind of hard to fix, but we fixed it and figured it out. So that always cracks me up, that story. So a music stand. And then you'll also need a book. and it's only about a 30-page book, and those are about $6, $7 too. Unless you play percussion, they're $13 because there's 2 books. Speaking of percussion, percussionists got a little bit of extra things going on. Percussionists learn bells and snare drum, and it comes in a kit, a bell kit and a snare drum kit. They have them out there if you want to take a look. They're on rollers, and it looks like a nice little luggage thing you'd see in an airport. So percussionists learn both those instruments. Some percussionists I've talked to this year already have a snare drum at home. Maybe they started some lessons. So all they would need to do is get the bell kit. They wouldn't need to buy a second snare drum. Okay? So check that out. If you have any questions, talk to your director at your middle school. The road to the saxophone is through the clarinet. We've talked to the students about this, but we haven't explained it well to the parents. We've discovered, and bands all across the country have discovered this, that when you learn clarinet and then switch that information over to saxophone, you actually become a better saxophone player. And so what we would like all of our students to do is start first on clarinet, and then those clarinet players have the option of switching to saxophone halfway through the year or over the summer. At MagSafe, we started with, I think, 8 students wanted to play saxophone. They started with clarinet. Michael was one of them, the kid that was in here this morning. And 3 of them decided to switch in December. 2 more are switching over the summer. And the other ones just decided they want to stay on clarinet. They liked it so much. So it's totally up to the student at that point. The reason that is the clarinet requires really great technique. You have to have perfect technique or it squeaks. So it really gives you some very nice technique going, and the embouchure is very similar for the 2. In fact, if you look at Mr. Burns' trunk outside, he's got a saxophone, an alto, a tenor, a bari, a clarinet, a bass clarinet, and a flute. Anything else in there? Spare tire. So it's a we call it a foundational wood instrument. So if you have more questions about that, again, your middle school team are the people to talk to. Those first sounds, they talked about it in the video just a little bit. Those first sounds are going to be a little bit sick animal sounding, and it's perfectly normal. Please be encouraging, don't make fun. But just remember, it gets better really quick. You wouldn't believe how good our 6th grade bands sound here at the end of the year. They start with like these horrific sounds, and then all of a sudden it starts to get better and better, and then it zooms ahead. And boy, the last concert for all of our 3 schools for the 6th grade band was just amazing. They almost sounded like 7th graders. I mean, it was really good. Glad you guys caught that. That was good. I'm serious though, they really did. I was like, wow, you guys sound great. I have one last thing for you, and it's a very important thing. I've been hearing it a lot. A lot of students are concerned about study hall time. So I just want to let you know there are literally hundreds and hundreds of students in the band, in the orchestra, and in the choir. And they're having great success in school. They did a survey a few years ago because this was a concern with marching band at the high school. They were really worried they're just not going to have time for their studies. And the most amazing thing happened on the survey. Grades went down when marching band ended. That's quite a shocking result because the students weren't managing their time very well. The band and the orchestra and serious study of music, choir, does something with the higher level functioning of your brain. It does something with communication. It does something with problem solving. The social skills are very strong. The standardized testing scores go up for students who are in serious study. 85% of all med school students have had serious music background. We're not talking like 1 or 2 years. We're talking multiple years of music study. So it's a very strong correlation. Our students are doing great. So although we try to get our 5th graders really ready and say, now listen here, you better be serious about that at their middle school, and you got to study, and blah, blah, blah. This is, big time. I'm here to tell you that I love being at middle school, and it's working great over there for all those students. So just do it. Don't be concerned about that.
Did I miss anything?
I think you did great.
Good. Who's going to wrap us up? Mr. Mike, you want to wrap us up? Mrs. Reynolds, do you want to wrap us up? Okay. Well, thank you very much. We're going to be here at the tables for you if you have any questions or aren't sure exactly which instrument you're playing. And give us a call or an email with questions. We appreciate your time tonight, and thank you very much. Be part of the band.
All right. Thanks, Elena.